I went up in 1 week I auditioned for Soldier Soldier, which was a big kind of weekly soap that made big stars out of Robson and Jerome. And it was hard coming out of a big series and not having a big telly job and doing episodes of things. It was tough, you know, on the ego. And I went up for Soldier Soldier, and I went up for Civvies, which was a new Linda LaPlante thing, 6-part series, and she was a big noise, having done Prime Suspect and Widows, and not much else at that stage. And but it was I was obviously never going to get it, because it was for this very hard bit, and older than me, kind of psycho, hard nut parachute regiment soldier. And I went up for Soldier Soldier, and I didn't get it. And they phoned my agent, and they said, "Thing is, he's just too nice. You can't really believe he's in the army." And the casting director for Civvies, I went up for, maybe even on the same day, had phoned me personally and said, "Look, the guy directing this, he's from documentaries. He doesn't understand about acting. So don't come in and be yourself. Don't come in and be the guy who did a law degree. You know, just come in and try and be, obviously don't be a psychopath and don't be a violent guy, but be something like the character." So I went in, I was kind of monosyllabically grunting and unshaven. And I got this job. It was a huge break for me, because it had been a couple of years since the end of Capital City, and I could not get parts with teeth to them. I was always playing nice, lovely, soft guys. And the guy in Civvies was a piece of work, and I got to do that thing which is the most interesting aspect of my job. I got to go and meet amazing people. I trained with some SAS guys and some Falklands veterans. We went out into the mountains, the Brecon Beacons, and we all got hypothermic, and they were all trying to alpha male each other, and I was there, you know, really badly out of my depth. And it was an amazing time. I mean, terrifying and physically dangerous, but you know, they were the kinds of people you don't normally get to meet in the course of your everyday life. I asked the producers to set up, you know, I said, "Look, I don't know any soldiers, can you set up something for the cast?" Because it's an ensemble thing with 6 people. And they set up, through this organisation, 4 or 5 soldiers to take the 6 of us. Well, none of the other 6 turned up. They wouldn't do it. Pete Howard was one, Lenny James was one, and Seamus. None of them, they all made excuses. "I've got to get my teeth done, you know, toenail hurts." So there's only me and Eddie O'Connell with like these 4 or 5 guys around us. And what they wanted to do was get us to the point where we were physically broken quickly and see what we were made of inside. Didn't take them long to get me to that point. It took about half an hour. And it was all, you know, long dark nights of the soul for a week. And then I found this to be true as an actor. My wife's a documentary maker, and it's not true for her. As an actor, people will tell you things because they know it's not being filmed and you're not writing it down. They'll tell you things they'll never tell anyone else. And so that was the first time. Then and subsequently, I spent a fair amount of time with soldiers and people who've been in situations surrounded by a lot of carnage and death. And you know, it's fascinating. I learned that you don't know what you're capable of until you're in a situation. You don't know who's going to run screaming for their mum, and you don't know who's going to open up a machine gun and kill a field full of children. You don't know who's going to perform like, you know, old-fashioned medieval heroes. You really don't know. All you can do is, if you train people enough, they say that if your physical memory, if you've done something 3,000 times, you'll just do it when the trauma kicks in. That's why the Rangers in Somalia and Black Hawk Down did exactly what they were trained to do, even though they were in hell, because they'd done it enough times. I know that the politicians let the soldiers down all the time. I mean, there were stories about, I remember Margaret Thatcher apparently announced that the main attack had started on, I can't remember where, Port Stanley or Goose Green or somewhere, while the soldiers had been marching for 2 nights and were dug in at the base of the mountain. They were going to start attacking in the morning, but it was on the World Service that the attack had started, so they had to all get up and attack. But and mostly I learned that they're not like you and me. So I learned this. Then I learned it when I researched Black Hawk Down. That soldiers look like us. They're pretty similar build. They're not, you know, they're not built like Rambo because they've got to carry these heavy packs and stuff. But when they go to war in the Falklands or in Somalia, they don't do it for the flag, and they don't do it for Bush, and they don't do it for Thatcher, and they don't do it for us so we can, you know, shop at Sainsbury's. They literally do it for always one other person. Everybody has one person with whom they've been teamed pretty much since they joined the army, and they know them better than they know their brothers and sisters and children and parents and wives and stuff. and they don't want to let that one person down. If you put two pairs of people together, that's called a team. Two teams together is called a unit. And that's how you make people run at bullets, because they won't let the person next to them down. It's not an anonymous person next to them. They know their name, they know how many squares of toilet paper they use. That was quite an insight.